Marcus Hunter gripped the steering wheel of his well-worn car, a faded 2006 Toyota Corolla, a vehicle that had faithfully carried him through years of hardship and triumph. The car had seen better days, with a worn exterior and an engine that sometimes sputtered like a cough from an old man. But it still ran, and that was all that mattered. His daughter, Amara, sat quietly beside him, her small hands fiddling with the straps of her old backpack. At 12 years old, Amara had a quiet strength to her, a kind of resilience that both made Marcus proud and worried. "Excited for the science fair, sweetie?" Marcus asked, glancing over at her as he stopped at a red light. Amara nodded, but didn't look up, her eyes fixed on the old fabric of her backpack. "Yeah, I think so. Mrs. Stevens said my project on renewable energy is one of the best she's seen," Amara replied softly, a faint smile crossing her face. "That's my girl," Marcus grinned, proud of her work. "Just like your mom, always thinking ahead, always seeing solutions." The mention of her mother brought a brief flash of sadness to Amara's eyes. Her mother, Isabella Hunter, had been a brilliant scientist, but her life was tragically cut short by illness 2 years ago. Since then, Marcus and Amara had been navigating life together, one step at a time. "Dad," Amara's voice pulled him from his thoughts, "do you think the other kids will like my project?" There was a question within the question, one that only a father could understand. Marcus hesitated for a moment, sensing the vulnerability beneath her words. "They'd be crazy not to," he said firmly. "You built a working model of a wind turbine from scratch. That's incredible. You're doing something nobody else has thought of." As they approached Hillcrest Academy, Marcus noticed Amara's posture tighten. The sprawling campus, with its grand stone buildings and pristine lawns, looked almost like a picture from a prestigious college brochure. "I'll pick you up at 3, okay?" Marcus said, as they reached the school entrance. He leaned over and kissed Amara's forehead. "Love you, kiddo. You're gonna do great." Amara gave him a small smile in return before gathering her things and heading toward the entrance, her uniform slightly too big, the shoes worn at the edges. Marcus watched her walk inside, his heart swelling with pride, but also heavy with the knowledge of the challenges his daughter faced every day at Hillcrest. As he drove away, he turned his focus to the work ahead, pushing his worries to the back of his mind. Marcus pulled into the parking lot of the old diner, the one where he'd spent many late nights, drinking coffee and figuring out the next step in his life. The neon lights buzzed faintly, casting a soft glow on the cracked asphalt. The diner had seen better days, just like him. He parked and stepped out, stretching his legs after the long drive. The air was crisp and cool, a welcome change from the stuffy warmth of the car. Inside, the clink of silverware and the murmur of voices created a familiar comfort. "Hey, Marcus," the waitress, Linda, greeted him with a tired smile. "Same as usual?" "Yeah, the usual," Marcus said, sliding into his regular booth by the window. The worn red vinyl seat felt like an old friend. He took a deep breath and let the aroma of freshly brewed coffee fill his senses. As he waited, his mind wandered to the phone call he'd received earlier that morning. The one from the local school board. The one that would change everything. The offer to teach at Hillcrest Academy. A position that would allow him to get closer to Amara during her crucial years of high school. It was tempting, no doubt, but the decision wasn't an easy one. "Marcus?" Linda's voice broke his reverie. She placed a cup of coffee in front of him. You're awfully quiet today. Thinking about that big offer, huh? Marcus chuckled, lifting his eyes to meet hers. You know me too well, Linda. Yeah, it's been on my mind all day. Linda sat across from him, the familiarity of the old diner making the conversation feel more personal. So, what's the problem? Sounds like a great opportunity. It's not just about the job, Marcus sighed, stirring his coffee slowly. It's about Amara. She's already had to deal with so much after her mom passed. I don't know if I should uproot her life again, even if it means a better future for both of us. Linda nodded, understanding the weight of his words. You're a good dad, Marcus. I know you want the best for her. But you can't keep carrying the world on your shoulders. Sometimes, making a big change is just what both of you need. Marcus didn't respond immediately. Instead, he gazed out the window, his thoughts a tangled mess. The phone call had been an offer of hope, but also of sacrifice. His family was fragile, and one wrong move could shatter everything. I'll figure it out, he finally said, with a forced smile. Thanks, Linda. As he stood to leave, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that his life was standing on the edge of a cliff, and the only way forward was to leap. But leap into what? As Marcus walked out of the diner, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change, something big. The night air was cool, and the stars above twinkled like distant promises. He climbed into his car, but before starting the engine, he paused, hands gripping the steering wheel. His phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from Amara. Can we talk tonight? A slight knot formed in his stomach. Amara rarely asked for serious conversations these days. Usually, she kept to herself, buried in her books or her art. But tonight felt different. He took a deep breath, sending her a quick reply. Sure, I'll be home soon. He wasn't sure what she wanted to talk about, but he had a feeling it was connected to everything that was happening in his life. As he drove back home, the streets blurred in his mind. The decision he had to make about Hillcrest Academy weighed heavily on him, and now this conversation with Amara. He couldn't ignore it. He pulled into the driveway and parked, taking another moment before getting out. The house was quiet, and for a brief second, Marcus wondered if he'd been making the right choice all along. Inside, Amara was sitting at the kitchen table, her notebook open in front of her. She looked up when he walked in, her eyes tired but determined. Hey, kid, Marcus said gently, trying to ease the tension. What's on your mind? Dad. Amara paused, her voice trembling slightly. I don't want you to go. The words hit Marcus harder than he expected. He had hoped Amara would be excited about the new opportunity, that she'd see it as a fresh start for both of them. But her reaction was a reminder of how fragile their world had become. Amara, it's not about leaving you, Marcus said, his voice softening. It's about trying to give us both a better life. I've been thinking about it all day, and I know it's a big change, but it's also a chance to start over, to build something better for us. Amara shook her head slowly. But I don't want to start over. I just want things to go back to how they were before, when Mom was still here. Marcus's heart ached at the mention of her mother. It had been 3 years since Rachel passed, but it still felt like it happened yesterday. He had tried his best to fill the gap she left behind, but it was impossible to replace her. I know, sweetheart, he whispered, sitting down next to her. I miss her too, every single day. But we can't stay stuck in the past. We have to find a way to move forward. For both of us. Amara's eyes welled up with tears, but she wiped them away quickly. I don't want to lose you, Dad. I'm scared. What if things don't work out? What if I'm not ready for everything to change? Marcus took her hand, holding it tightly. I'm not going anywhere, Amara. But sometimes we have to take risks. We have to trust that things will get better, even when we can't see the way forward. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the ticking of the clock in the background, as if marking the passage of time and the choices that lay ahead. After a long silence, Amara finally spoke again, her voice soft but steady. Dad, I don't want you to think that I'm not excited for you. I don't want to lose you too. Marcus felt his heart tighten as he listened to her. I know, kid. I know. But we're not losing each other. We're just finding new paths. He reached over, gently brushing her hair behind her ear. We'll figure this out together, like we always have. Amara looked at him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. Do you really believe that? That everything will work out? Marcus hesitated for a moment before answering. I have to believe it, Amara. I don't know what's coming, but I can't keep living in fear of what might happen. We have to keep moving forward. Amara didn't say anything, but the tension in the room seemed to ease, even if just a little. She looked at her father, her protector, the man who had carried them both through so much. And though she didn't have all the answers, she trusted him more than anyone else in the world. Okay, she finally whispered, her voice barely audible. Let's do it. Let's try. A wave of relief washed over Marcus as he squeezed her hand. That's my girl. We'll make it work. Together. They sat there for a while, not needing to speak, just being in each other's presence. The future still seemed uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Marcus felt a flicker of hope. The next morning, Marcus woke up early, the weight of his decision settling over him. The day ahead would be filled with challenges, but it also promised new beginnings. He could hear Amara moving around in her room, and he knew she was up. He smiled to himself. He made his way to the kitchen, the smell of coffee already filling the air. Amara was sitting at the table, her notebook open once more. She looked up when he entered, offering him a small yet genuine smile. Morning, Dad, she said. I've been thinking. Maybe I can give this new place a chance too. We'll see how it goes. Marcus felt a swell of pride and relief. That's the spirit, kid. We'll figure it out. One step at a time. As they sat down for breakfast, the world outside seemed to fade away, and for that moment, everything felt possible. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Marcus knew they would face them together. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in a long while, Marcus wasn't afraid of what came next. He had Amara by his side, and that was all that mattered. The following week, Marcus and Amara visited the new city. The air felt different, fresher, and the streets seemed quieter than what they were used to back home. But the sense of uncertainty was still there, hovering in the background, especially for Amara. It's different, Amara remarked, looking out the window as they drove through the streets. I don't know if I can get used to it. Marcus glanced at her. I get it. It's going to take time, but we'll give it a shot, together. He smiled reassuringly, trying to make the change feel less intimidating. They arrived at the apartment building, and as they entered the lobby, Amara's eyes scanned the surroundings. The space was modern, sleek, but still felt a bit impersonal. "This is going to be home for a while, huh?" she asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Marcus took a deep breath before responding. "For now, yeah. But we'll make it ours, Amara. Just wait and see." They spent the afternoon exploring the city. Marcus made an effort to point out the things that might make it feel more like home: the cozy coffee shops, the parks, the small bookstore on the corner. But it was clear that Amara wasn't convinced. That evening, after dinner, Marcus could tell she was still holding something back. "You okay?" he asked gently. Amara shrugged, her eyes distant. "I'm just trying to figure it out. This is a huge change, and I don't know if I'm ready for it." Marcus sat beside her on the couch, offering her a warm smile. "You don't have to be ready right away. We'll take it one day at a time, and I'll be here for you, every step of the way." Amara turned to look at him, her eyes softening. "Thanks, Dad. I know this isn't easy for you either." He chuckled, giving her a playful nudge. "We've been through worse, haven't we? We'll handle this like we always do, together." The next few days passed slowly as they settled into their new life. The apartment became more familiar, and Amara found herself spending more time in the nearby park, sketching the scenes she saw. Slowly, bit by bit, the city was starting to feel like home, at least a little. One evening, after a particularly long day, Amara came to her father with a sketch pad in hand. "Dad," she began hesitantly, "I think I've found something I really like about this place." Marcus looked up from his book, his eyes lighting up. "Oh, yeah? What is it?" Amara smiled, showing him her sketch. "The park. The way the light hits the trees just right. It's peaceful here, Dad." Marcus studied the sketch for a moment, then looked at her with pride. "That's beautiful, Amara. I'm glad you're finding the beauty in this place." "It feels like I'm starting to see it too," she replied softly. I think we're going to be okay." Marcus smiled, feeling a wave of relief. "We will, kid. We definitely will." A few weeks passed, and the new routine started to settle in. Amara's sketches grew more detailed, capturing the subtle beauty of the city's parks, streets, and hidden corners. She had even started to make friends at school. One afternoon, after school, Amara came home excited. "Dad, guess what? I've got a group project. And the best part is, we're going to work at the park tomorrow." Marcus looked up from his laptop, raising an eyebrow. "That's great. Who are you working with?" "There's Lucas, Sam, and Eva. We're all going to meet there after school." "I'm excited," Amara replied, her smile wide. Marcus smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "Sounds like you're really starting to fit in here." "Yeah," Amara agreed, sitting down next to him. "It's still not the same as back home, but it's getting there." The next day, Amara met her friends at the park. The sun was warm, and the trees cast long shadows over the grass. It was the kind of day that made everything feel lighter, as though the city was finally revealing itself to her. "Hey, Amara!" Lucas waved as he saw her approaching. "Ready to get started?" "Definitely," Amara replied, feeling a bit more confident now that she was surrounded by people she was starting to trust. They spread out on the grass, books and laptops in hand, and began working on their project. As the afternoon wore on, Amara found herself laughing with her friends, the sound of their voices blending with the rustling of the leaves overhead. At one point, Sam looked up and asked, "Amara, how long have you been in the city?" "A few weeks," she replied, glancing at him. We moved here not too long ago. Wow, you're already adjusting pretty well, Eva said, her voice full of admiration. I think you're gonna love it here once you get used to it. Amara smiled shyly. I think I'm starting to. Yeah. As they continued working, Marcus walked through the park on his evening jog. He spotted Amara from a distance, surrounded by her friends, laughing and enjoying the moment. He couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. She was growing, adjusting, and finding her place here. Maybe this city wasn't so bad after all. That evening, as they sat down to dinner, Amara's energy was different. She was more lively, talking animatedly about her day and the people she had met. It was a good day, she said with a smile. I think I'm really starting to like it here, Dad. Marcus looked at her, a proud smile spreading across his face. I'm glad to hear that, Amara. We'll make sure you continue to feel at home. The next few months flew by, and while Amara still missed the life they had left behind, she couldn't deny that this new chapter was starting to feel like her own. One day, while walking home from school, Amara stopped to look at the park one last time. The trees were in full bloom, and the air was crisp, carrying the scent of fresh grass. It was the first time she felt truly at peace in the city. I think we're going to be okay, she whispered to herself, the weight of uncertainty finally lifting. As time passed, Amara's confidence continued to grow. She found herself attending more social events and joining after-school activities. She joined a local art club, where she met even more students who shared her passion for drawing. One afternoon, while working on a mural project with her friends from the art club, Amara paused for a moment and looked around the park. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow over everything. You know, I never thought I'd be this happy here, she said, her voice soft but full of emotion. Lucas, who was working on the mural next to her, smiled. I'm glad to hear that. It's been great having you around, Amara. Amara smiled back, feeling more at home than she ever had before. It wasn't just the city that had changed her. It was the people, the friendships, and the small moments that made her feel like she belonged. That evening, when she got home, Marcus noticed the difference in her demeanor. She was glowing with happiness, a lightness in her step that hadn't been there before. How was your day, kiddo? Marcus asked, putting down his book and giving her his full attention. It was amazing, Amara said, sitting down beside him. I'm really starting to feel like this is my home now. Marcus smiled, his heart full. I'm so proud of you, Amara. You've come so far. And this city, it's lucky to have you. Amara blushed at his words, feeling the warmth of his praise. Thanks, Dad. I couldn't have done it without you. Over the next few weeks, Amara became more involved in her school and local community. She volunteered at events, helped organize art exhibits, and even started tutoring younger students in art. It was as though she had found her rhythm in the city, and it felt right. One Saturday morning, Marcus and Amara went to a local cafe for breakfast. As they sat down with their coffee and croissants, Marcus glanced at her. You know, I've been thinking, maybe it's time we start looking for a permanent place here. Amara's eyes lit up. You mean, we're staying here for good? Marcus nodded. Yeah, I think it's time. You're settling in so well, and I'm really proud of how much you've grown. This city, it's starting to feel like home for both of us. Amara grinned, feeling a deep sense of relief and happiness. She had finally found her place. I can't wait, she said, her heart light. This really is home now. And for the first time in months, Amara felt completely at peace. The city, her new life, the people she had come to love. Everything was falling into place. It was the beginning of a new chapter, and she was ready to embrace it fully.